What is up, ladies and gentlemen? You can call me Kai Guy. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And if this is your first time here, then welcome to you. I am your coach of the Washington WOOBAT in the DAPL, and we are here for our Week 6 battle going up against Silvered Fred, I believe is how they pronounce their name. I could be wrong about that, so I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Silvered Fred in their team, the Puerto Rican Politoads. They have a very, very solid, very scary team that boasts both sun and electric terrain, making prep for this game a nightmare. Because we don't know if they're going to bring terrain, we don't know if they're bringing sun, we don't know if they're bringing a combination of both. It's just not a fun time. It's a very, very frustrating team to prep for, and I had a bit of a pain in the butt trying to prep for this team, I'm not going to lie. Let's go ahead and break down our team really quick. I'll break down what I'm bringing, telling you what sets I'm bringing, what Pokemon, why I decided to bring them, all that cool stuff, and then the battle itself will follow afterwards. Let's break down their team first. So they have Tapu Koko to set the electric terrain, Torkoal to set the sun, a Walking Wake, Hawlucha, Mega Scizor, and Iron Thorns, that is one of his Terra Captains, a Alolan Raichu, that's one of his Z Crystal users, a Leafeon, that's one of his Terra Captains, a Runerigus, Slacking, that is one of his Z Crystal users, and Thievul, that is one of his Z Crystal users. So he's got a lot of Z users and a good amount of power and bulk, while also having terrain and weather. Not a fun team to prep for, I'm not going to lie. But I think we've got 6 that should be able to help us out here, so I'm going to show you who I'm bringing this week, why we're bringing them, all that cool stuff, and then we'll jump into the battle. First up, the Pokemon I think looks the absolute best here. We got Uni, our Oricordio Pom-Pom, holding the heavy-duty boots, with the moves Quiver Dance, Roost, Revelation Dance, and Air Slash. So, a couple of things with this thing. Heavy duty boots, pretty standard. I usually run this item on this Pokemon just so I'm not taking Stealth Rock damage and putting myself at 75% HP immediately. So that's why we're continuing to do that. Dancer is its only ability, obvi. Quiver Dance is there to boost our special attack and special defense and speed, one of the best moves in the game for a reason. We also have Roost there to heal ourselves back up for a nice solid 50% of our HP. Revelation Dance is there to do good damage to the Hawlucha, the Walking Wake, and that's about it. But after it Terras, because we're rocking Terra Ground again this week, it hits the Tapu Koko, it hits the Torkoal, it hits the Iron Thorns before it Terras, it hits the Alolan Raichu, it hits like a good amount of his team, like a solid like 33% of his team, which is pretty nice. Coupled with that, we also have Air Slash, which also does good damage to Hawlucha, and the Leafeon before it Terras. So realistically, Uni here can hit super effectively for about half of his team, which is pretty nice. It seemed like a pretty guaranteed bring. And then with the Terra Ground as well, we're also able to hit the Torkoal, the Tapu Koko. I think I already mentioned all that anyway. But yeah, so we've got a good amount of Pokemon we can hit super effectively with this thing. The reason I'm running Air Slash over Hurricane this week is because if he brings Sun, Hurricane is 50% accurate in the Sun, and I don't really want to deal with a coin flip on whether or not my move hits. So we're going to take the little bit less power from Air Slash. I think it's base 75 versus 110. So a little bit of a hit, but it's 95 accuracy versus 70, or in this case, if he brought Sun, 50, so it seemed like a good call. Max HP, max defense on this thing, allowing it to set up on physically offensive threats, like maybe even something like the Mega Scizor before it SDs, because we resist Bullet Punch, we resist the Bug Bite if it has. The only thing it can really do to me is like knockoff. We even resist Dual Wing Beat, which is nice. So there's a lot we can set up on. We can also maybe set up on something like the Runerigus, maybe something like the Leafeon, depending on what Terra type it is. So a couple of things to be on the lookout for there. But yeah, that's what we're running on Uni. Next up is Noah, our team captain, the Mega Latios, holding the Latios side with moves Calm Mind, Roost, Psychic, and Mystical Fire. So we got max HP, max defense on this guy. I wanted a backup sweeper just in case Uni goes down, and this Mon looked really good into the team as well. Calm Mind there to boost our specially offensive stats, being special attack and special defense. Roost to heal ourselves. And then Psychic, Mystical Fire does good damage into his team overall. Torkoal doesn't really want to be taking anything on the special side, because special defense is kind of doo-doo. We can also hit things like the Hawlucha with Psychic. We can hit the Mega Scizor with Mystical Fire. The Leafeon doesn't want to take a Mystical Fire. Runerigus doesn't want to get battered by Psychic. I figured Uni can be like a mid-game clean, and maybe this Pokemon could late-game clean, or vice versa. That's kind of why I decided to bring it. Max HP, max defense on this thing, to be able to just sponge up a little bit of hits while it's setting up, and then Roost to heal ourselves up afterwards with a tiny little bit of speed. Next up, we got Tora, our Clefable, holding the leftovers with Unaware, Wish, Protect, Moonblast, and Flamethrower. I wanted this thing to kind of just be like a good, specially defensive check to Pokemon like the Tapu Koko, like the Walking Wake, like the Alolan Raichu, depending on what the Runerigus... Runerigus is more physically offensive. I don't think he's going to bring special Runerigus with, like, what, base 45 special attack? Yeah, maybe let's calm down, Kai. They can kind of check a good amount of his, like, mainly special defensive threats. And we also do have the Unaware there in case things get a little bit out of hand. I think Unaware ignores Photosynthesis, I want to say. I hope it does, because that would be really nice. So we don't have to take a little bit extra damage from the Walking Wake if it's plus special attack and during the sun, or even just if it's random booster energy. So I decided to go with that, just to give specially defensive threats hits. Wish Protect is there to heal ourselves up, and Protect is to kind of just scout, which is also there to pass healing to the rest of our team, which could be nice. Moonblast there for just general damage, hits the Walking Wake, hits the Hawlucha, does decent damage to something like a Leafeon. And then Flamethrower is also there for something like the Hawlucha, or not the Hawlucha, the Mega Scizor, the Leafeon, like that kind of stuff. I probably won't be staying in on either of those things when I have other switch-ins, but getting a little bit of a Flamethrower off, getting some extra damage off is never a bad thing, especially times 4 damage on the Mega Scizor. So that's kind of why I decided to put that on this week. We're rocking max HP, max special defense on this guy, so hopefully it's able to kind of eat up some hits and put in a little bit of work. Next up is Newt, our Crocalor, holding the Eviolite with the Unaware ability, Will-O-Wisp, Slack Off, Protect, and Flamethrower with max HP, max defense. Will-O-Wisp is here to just kind of cripple, for lack of a better term, physical attackers. Something like a physically offensive Koko, which I don't think he would bring, but still. Physically offensive Walking Wake, Hawlucha, Mega Scizor, Leafeon, depending on what its Terra type is. Same thing with the Iron Thorns, Slacking, Thievul. It seemed like a pretty good bring. Slack Off is there to heal ourselves up. Protect is there to scout, and also to make it so the Slacking has to deal with its Truant ability. Because if we Protect when it attacks, next turn it has to be Truant, so I can get off a free Willow on something incoming, or a little bit of chip damage with Flamethrower. So that is why we're running Protect, mainly scouting and also to kind of prevent the Slacking from being able to go in and just kind of click buttons. I really don't want that to happen. Unless maybe the Z Crystal might be the play. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know how Z Crystals work with Truant. That might be something I look into. But I think for now, this gives me the best thing to handle things like the Slacking. It kind of does good damage to the Scizor. It can wall that. It can wall the Hawlucha as long as it's not Mold Breaker. It does a good job walling the Leafeon as well, and the Runerigus to a degree. We do have to be wary about ground-type moves, but getting a Will-O-Wisp off on them should make it a little bit more easy to handle. Max HP, max defense on this guy. And then, like I said, Unaware, I don't think if I mentioned this with Clefable, it lets us know our opponent's stat changes. So if the Scizor sets up +2, Crocalor says, I didn't see it, it doesn't happen. And now the Swords Dance is null and void. Next up, we got Wolfric, our Mamoswine, holding the Choice Scarf with the Thick Fat ability. And the moves Icicle Crash, Earthquake, Knock Off, and Freeze Dry. So the reason I'm running this week is I wanted a decent Scarfer to be able to kind of do work into the team. And I wanted something that could kind of just throw off moves whenever it came in. Unlike most weeks when I bring Mamoswine, I don't really think I have a problem with Mamoswine needing to switch up moves too much, which is nice. Like, for example, like, if I Icicle Crash into something like the Hawlucha and they want to go out into, like, a Torkoal, that's fine. I have ways to go around it. Like, I don't think Torkoal's going to appreciate my Latios coming in afterwards. Same thing, if I go for Earthquake as they switch in Hawlucha, I can just go into something like a Uni or a Poppy Buster or even a Newt afterwards and not have to worry about that from there. So we do be having the options. So that's why I wasn't too upset about Mamoswine not being able to switch up his moves this week. So that's why we're running Scarf on this. Thick Fat is there so we don't take as much from fire or ice attacks. Icicle Crash hits pretty good on his team. It hits the Leafeon, hits the Runerigus, and the Hawlucha. Earthquake hits the Tapu Koko, the Torkoal, the Iron Thorns before it Terras, the Alolan Raichu, the Runerigus. Does good damage to everything. Knockoff is just there if we need to just get rid of an item on something. Like if you bring Sun, I want the Heat Rock on, I can just knock it off and now it's gone. And then Freeze Dry is there to catch maybe a Walking Wake on switch-in or something, just to get a little bit of extra chip off on it. I don't anticipate myself clicking it too much this week, but I thought I'd bring it just in case. And if we catch a Walking Wake on the switch-in, hooray, we did it. And then we're rocking max attack on this thing, a little bit HP and a decent amount of speed. With this speed, we guarantee outspeed a speed booster Iron Thorns. So I decided to put that on here because Iron Thorns maxes out at 267. Or is it's 266 or 267? Either way, we're good. I'm pretty sure it's 267. But with this amount of speed, we will hit 268 thanks to our Choice Scarf, boosting our speed by 1.5 times. We are guaranteed to outspeed all forms of Iron Thorns, even under electric terrain. So that's why I decided to run Scarf on this thing this week. And we also do outspeed a regular Tapu Koko as well, which could be pretty helpful to just get a little bit of damage off on that thing too. And then max attack is just there to hit as hard as we can. And last but not least, we have Poppy Buster, our Celesteela. Rocking the leftovers with the Beast Boost ability, Iron Defense, Leech Seed, Flamethrower, Air Slash. I want another physically defensive mon to be able to kind of eat up hits from something like the Scissor or the Hawlucha, just in case something happens to Newt, like if it got knocked off or something. And this seemed like the best thing to bring. Iron Defense is there so we can boost up in front of physical attackers and just be like, no thank you. So that's helpful. Leech Seed's there for a little bit of passive recovery in addition to our lefties. And then Hawlucha, Air Slash plus Flamethrower does hit a good amount of his team. It hits the Hawlucha, hits the Mega Scizor, hits the Leafeon, does a decent amount of damage to those kind of guys, so hopefully we're able to get a little bit of damage off on this thing. But it's primarily here to just be a physically defensive threat, to just eat up hits here and there, and just kind of make way for the rest of the team to sit up and sweep later on. Max HP, max defense. I'm just saying with a tiny little bit of Spadef. That is the team we are bringing. What you guys think of the team down in the comments? I really appreciate your thoughts on that. Let me know what you think you like. What would you have done differently? Let me know down there. Also, make sure you leave a like on this battle if you are hyped for your Washington WOOBAT to try and get this dub and move to 4-2 on the season. Let's see if we can do it. That's all I got for you guys. Let's go ahead and just jump right into the battle. That seems like it's good as anything to do at the moment. So I will see you guys in just a moment. Alright, we are back. We are connected with Silvered Fred. Unfortunately, this is going to be a post-commentary battle. We weren't able to get this going when I was actually home and able to record it, unfortunately. Plus, at the time, I wasn't feeling too great anyway. I had a bit of a sore throat. So I decided, it's just in the best of interest of all things, making sure we get the video out on time and making sure that I don't just sound like this during the entirety of the video. I thought it would make more sense to do this post-commentary this week, so I apologize in advance for that. But, unfortunately, that's what you're getting. So looking at their team, I forgot to mention, by the way, I'm currently 3-2, and I believe so is Silvered Fred, so somebody's moving to 4-2, somebody moves to 3-3 this week. So, forgot to mention that during the team builder, but I thought I'd bring that up. Alright, so, Rune, Regis, Tapu Koko, Hawlucha, Iron Thorns, Alolan Raichu, and Walking Wake. So, no Sun. Primarily an electric terrain-based team, which is kind of interesting. Mamoswine looks really, really good here, was my first indication. And I was actually decided I'm going to lead off with it. Because Mamoswine can hit basically everything on this team for at least some form of super effective damage. And we're going to outspeed basically everything except for maybe the Tapu Koko if he's like Choice Scarf Koko. Or barring any Scarfers, I should say, in general. So I was like, alright, I'm just going to lead off with Mamoswine. I'm just going to click big buttons. I'm just going to click big buttons on this guy. So that is what I decided to do, is I'm thinking he's probably going to lead primarily with either the Tapu Koko to get the terrain up, and maybe we can catch that with an EQ, or maybe he'll lead a little Raichu and try to U-turn or Volt Switch out or something. So that's why I decided to lead with my Mamoswine here, as he is going to end up leading with the Tapu Koko, or not the Tapu Koko, the Walking Wake, excuse me. I was looking at Tapu Koko as I was saying this, so my bad. So he's going to end up leading the Walking Wake, and immediately I'm like, well, darn, that's unfortunate. I do have the Freeze Dry on this thing, but I'm not going to lie, I don't know if it's worth it for a little bit of damage off from Freeze Dry to risk losing this Pokemon altogether, because we are Scarf, so unless he's Scarf, we will outspeed him. But at the same time, we're also going to be not living. We're also going to be not living any of its hits. So I'm like, alright, whatever, I'm just going to swap out into Clefable here and see what he wants to do. So I'm going to bring in Clefable, as he actually ends up going for the knockoff here to get rid of my leftovers. So that sucks a little bit for me. Clefable loses its passive recovery, but that actually didn't do too much damage, which is nice. And the fact that he, well, no, the fact that he went for knockoff here, I was wondering if he was Scarf, because I let off with this thing like, I'm like, hey, my Mamoswine's Choice Scarf, here you go. Which made me think, I wonder if this guy is Scarf too. So that was what was immediately going in my head at the moment. Oops, excuse me. Sorry, guys. That was immediately going through my head at the moment. I'm like, okay, well, I get some decent damage off on this thing. Or, I lose my leftovers, but I'm able to get a nice pivot in. So I'm thinking here, I could just wish and see what he wants to do in case he wants to go for, like, something like a Hydro Steam or a, like a Scald or something. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wish as he switches into the Koko, which does make me think he's Choice Scarf. Because I feel like if he wasn't, he would have probably taken the damage. Then again, I don't know if he really wants his Walking Away to get dropped by a Moonblast, but still. So I'm going to actually go for the Wish right here, just so we can store that and pass it off to something later. He's going to double out into the Walking Wake as I double into my Mamoswine. And again, I'm like, well, here we are again. Long time no see, old friend. So I'm thinking, all right, well, I guarantee you he's just going to knock off or flip turn or something. If he's rocking knockoff, I'm wondering if he's physical Walking Awake, like maybe with like D-Dance or something, or he's Scarfed. It's definitely one of those two. So I'm like, either way, I don't really want Wolfric staying in on this thing. I'm pretty sure it can just either knock off or flip turn for free, but I think no matter what, I have to swap back out into my Clefable. I don't think I really have a choice. He's going to flip turn, do a nice 18% to me, and bring in the Iron Thorns. I'm not going to lie, this thing is very scary. This thing is a very scary Pokemon. It has like base like 130 physical attack, and as you're about to see, it is the Speed Cork Drive, so that means it is technically like it has a free Choice Scarf, essentially. But what's good is Mamoswine will still outspeed this. So immediately here, I'm thinking, alrighty, Mamoswine, get on in here, as he is going to go for the Stone Edge. So I'm like, okay, well, that blows. Terra Rock Stone Edge hurts like a lot. So I'm like, okay, well, Mamoswine's kind of not really going to be too useful to me at the moment. Yes, it'd be nice to get some big Earthquakes off on stuff, but at the same time, like, I think I would rather be able to bring in somebody like Latios or somebody like Celesteela here later. So I'm like, I'll just take the damage, and then I can probably KO this thing with my Celesteela afterwards, or just sit on its face with Iron Defense and everything. So I'm like, alright, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to click the Earthquake here, and then just get big damage off. So I get the Earthquake, I am Scarf, so I do outspeed, does a solid 77%, and he actually goes for the Stone Edge again, and unfortunately misses. Which is pretty big, I'm not going to lie. Because getting the KO off on my Mamoswine would have been really good for him. So he is just going to swap into the Hawlucha here. I thought about doubling out into somebody like the Celesteela here, but on the off chance he stayed in, which I didn't think he would, because the Hawlucha switching is just kind of free, because he knows I'm Choice Scarf and everything. So I'm like, alright, I could double out into somebody like Celesteela or Newt here, but I'll just click EQ, and then if he comes in, he comes in. Alright, so we see he is the Mold Breaker, and he does have the Electric Seed. So we know for sure this was a good bring on us for bringing Celesteela. We don't want to have to bring in somebody like Crocalor on this thing, because the Mold Breaker ignoring or unaware is really annoying. So my immediate thought is I am bringing in my Celesteela, as he is just going to freely go for a Swords Dance. Now, we are max defense, max HP on this thing. So I think we are free to just kind of sit in front of this thing. So my immediate indication is I'm going to go for the Air Slash. I want to see what he wants to do. So he's going to actually SD again. So he's +4 now. As Air Slash goes off and does some massive damage to this thing. Does a solid 84%. So immediately I'm thinking, alright, well, he's probably just going to CC me and KO me here. But I can definitely go ahead and revenge him with like a Choice Scarf Mamoswine after this, so that's pretty helpful. Because I know I outspeed because he's not unburdened. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to say, I'm just going to Air Slash, whatever happens, happens. He actually Drain Punches. It only does 59% from +4 Hawlucha. Celesteela is so incredibly bulky, it's not even funny. So I'm actually going to pick up the KO on this thing with Air Slash. So you're watching to WOOBAT are drawing first blood. That's what we like to see. We get our nice beast boost on the defense side. That's what we like to see. Get a little bit of HP back. Out comes the Coco. Obvious Volt Switch is obvious, so I'm immediately like, alright, I could bring in Mamoswine, I could bring in Clefable. I'm just going to bring in Clefable and play things safe, as he does go for the Volt Switch, which is fine. And in comes the Iron Thorns. So again, I'm like, alright, well, I could just sack off my Celesteela here. On the off chance, maybe it lives a Terra Rock Stone Edge from this thing. I sincerely doubt it, but we'll try it. We'll see how it goes. We see his Cork Drive speed again. I'm going to protect and scout what he's going to do first. I do see he is going to Stone Edge. So I'm like, alright, Celesteela, you've done your job. Come on out, bud. And we actually go for it. He hits it. He actually is able to hit this time. And then we bring in Mamoswine. And he brings in the Walking Wake as I fire off an EQ. Does this decent 48%. Which makes me think he's got some bulk investment. So I think he might be more of like a supporty Walking Wake. And I'm like, alright, well, on the off chance he tries to overpredict and bring something else back in, I'm just going to EQ this thing. I don't care. As we see, he was indeed Choice Scarf. He's going to go for the flip turn. Pick up the KO on my Mamoswine. And then I'm going to bring in, who into this thing? I'm going to bring in Latios, because I know no matter what, I take one. no matter what, I take 1 from this thing because I'm max HP, max defense. It's going to hurt really bad, but I know I take 1. As he actually misses a second Stone Edge, which is massive. That is actually so massive. And then he can freely bring in the Rune Regis here. So I got a little bit lucky with those Stone Edge misses. You'll see later on why those kind of matter, but for the most part, like, not great for him. Immediately, I'm like, what does this thing want to do to me? I don't think it's that strong, right? It's only base 95 attack, I want to say. So I'm like, I'm just going to Calm Mind in this thing's face. I don't give a dang. I know you're a ghost type. I don't care. It does 71% to a max HP, max defense Mega Latios. I was just like, what? I was shocked with how much damage this thing was doing. So I was like, well, I have egg on my face. I'm just going to click Psychic on this thing, and it's going to go down. I want to see if maybe he would try and overpredict there, but unfortunately he did not. He was just going to rip off a Shadow Claw no matter what. But my play here is 1000% to bring in Oricorio. Again, max HP, max defense, and this time I am not weak to Ghost. So I can just freely click the Quiver Dance here, get up to +1 special attack, special defense, and speed. He goes for the Shadow Claw and does 43 to me. I was considering roosting up here because getting the healing back could be nice for us. But I was also thinking, I know for sure that the Latios' Psychic did a 66%. So based on this, I knew he wasn't max Spadef. So I knew for sure that my Air Slash KO'd this thing, as long as we hit it. So I was like, I'm just going to take the damage. I'm going to go for the Air Slash. Oh no, I do Roost actually. I think I was just trying to see what he would do, in case he wanted to switch. And then he goes for it again, and I'm like, well, now I don't want to risk the high crit ratio. So now, like, I'm just going to kill this thing with Air Slash, take the KO, and it's fine. So here, he's got 3 options. He's got the Walking Wake, he's got the Raichu, he's got the Koko. My immediate thought was, I think he's going to bring in the Koko, because I'm almost positive he's going to want to set up the electric terrain for the Raichu. And that's exactly what he ends up trying to do. So, I'm like, alright, what would this thing want to do to me? I'm thinking it might just Volt Switch and try and bring in the Raichu immediately. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go, like, balls to the wall this play. Like, straight up balls to the wall this play. And I'm going to actually Terra Ground and go for the Quiver Dance. As he Volt Switches, which puts me at +2, +2. And I think it's just kind of game from there, because we can Roost up. We see that Dazzling Gleam does literally 0 to me. And I'm going to QD once more just to make sure. On the off chance this Raichu does still outspeed me, because we don't have any speed investment on this thing. So now we are +3 special attack, special defense, and speed. That's big Uni right there, baby! And that is just going to be the game, as Uni will just Revelation Dance her way through the rest of his team. And be able to pick up a bunch of KOs, picking up the KO on the Alolan Raichu, onto the Walking Way with Revelation Dance, and then we'll also be able to pick up the KO on the Tapu Koko with the Revelation Dance. That is what we like to see out of our Queen, Uni. That is how we do it. That's my girl. Oricorio putting in the finest of work this week. Definitely got pretty lucky with those Stone Edge misses. They weren't, like, I was trying to think what I'm trying to say here. I think in the long run, Uni still looked really good, but in the moment, those misses were massive. Like, I can't even understand. Those misses were indeed massive. Because, like, it allowed Uni to kind of just come in for free later. And not and same thing with Latios. Like, it let me be able to guarantee KO the Rune Regis with the Air Slash. So I definitely got lucky with those Stone Edge misses, but at the same time, it's the game we play, unfortunately. Stone Edge is a 80% accurate move for a reason, unfortunately. But yeah, we were able to pick up the dub here. Thank you, Uni. You're Washington. Woo! Woo! WOOBAT! Moved to 4-2 on the season, so we are guaranteed at least to finish the season at 500. That's what we like to see. One more win, we will be guaranteed above 500, but that is a good place to start for now. Yeah, we were able to pick up the Dubski this week with a +3 differential. Not bad at all. Good stuff from Uni. Alright, so you're Washington WOOBAT, moved to 4-2 in the season, and next week we'll be back here again for another I almost said Wi-Fi battle, for another Draft League battle. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the video. If you are new around here, please consider subscribing. We're on our way to 500 subscribers. It's my end of the year goal. I'd really appreciate if you could help me hit that. Also, leave a like on the video as well for Big Uni putting in the finest to work for your Washington WOOBAT. Moving to 4-2 on the season. Please leave a like on that. It really means a lot to me. Let me know what you thought about the battle in the comments section down below as well. And just give me your thoughts on how the season's going so far. That is all I got for you guys. Thank you so much for tuning into the video. I will catch you all in the next one. And y'all already know what it is. I'm going to say it anyway. I'll catch you all later. But until then, all I have to say is peace.